Hello everyone, it's Stamp Ventures with Shauna, a Canadian Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, here with my tutorial for the week. And normally it's on Tuesdays, but I'm going on Wednesday night here tonight because last night was my book club meeting. So that's usually the way it goes. On the last Tuesday of the month I have my book club, so this often gets bumped to Wednesday night. And my brain's not working very well here. I'm just trying to link up to my iPad so that I might be able to see some comments as they come through. Oh, there, I think I found it. All right, so hopefully I'll be able to see if you are commenting. And there we go. I think I got it. Oh my goodness. Hi Brenda. Oh, and there's Judy and Darlene. So yes, I have actually found it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, my brain, it's not working at all tonight. So I maybe should just stop talking and stamp. Maybe that's the best thing to do. But before I do, I always start out with a weather word of the day. And today's weather word is Kansas. Yep, it was basically like the Wizard of Oz here today. We got like blown into next year. The weather was awful. Our average winds were like 50 kilometers an hour, gusting up to 70 kilometers an hour, and maybe I'll blame it on the blame all my scatterbrainedness today on the wind. Hello to Pound from North Carolina. Oh yes, haven't talked to you in a little while. And then there's Elaine, and Elaine says she's not getting sound on me. So what you might want to do is try touching the video and then bringing it up again, go in and out of it, and that might bring some sound up. If the other people who are there can hear me, just give me a thumbs up, press that little thumbs up icon just to make sure that it's not something that I'm doing from my end that is causing the lack of sound. So just giving it 10 seconds here to see if anybody, oh, there's a thumbs up. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, so you might just have to exit out of the screen and then come back in, and then that might bring you sound, Elaine. So normally, well, I've been really bad at sharing my little humorous, yeah, I'm so funny, aren't I? My little humorous jokes that I have for my tutorials each week. I've been falling down on those, and but because it's book club week this week, instead of sharing my funny, I have a book to share with you. Actually, I have 2 books to share with you. So last night at our book club, we discussed this book called The Muse, and it is very, very interesting, but I didn't finish it. And you know what? The ladies in my book club haven't kicked me out yet. It's an interesting book, and I just ran out of time. We had my son visiting last week, and I kind of didn't do very much in terms of work, so I'm behind in a lot of things, and including reading my book. But it's really interesting so far, and all the ladies who talked about it at the book club meeting quite enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to finishing it. The book that I did finish though, which was loaned to me by a friend, was this one called The House at the Edge of Night. And this one was really neat because it takes place on a fictional island off the coast of Sicily, and it starts at just before the First World War, and it goes through the First World War and the Spanish influenza pandemic and the Second World War, and goes all the way into like up to the 2000s in this fictional Italian island, and I really enjoyed that. And so yeah, if you're looking for a fun fictional, sort of historical fictional read that crosses many generations. This is, I recommend The House at the Edge of Night. So I see a few more people have hopped on. Hello to Roz. I'm not sure where you're from, Roz, but welcome. And I don't know if Janet's still there, and maybe Nicole. Great to see you. And as I mentioned last week, I kind of took the week off because my son was visiting, and I think my ladies in my club are really wondering if they're ever going to hear from me again. A, if they're going to get their orders, and B, if they're going to get their projects. And if any of the club ladies are watching, I'm here to reassure you that yes, you are going to get your projects to work on, and I'll give you a little peek tonight. This is one of the projects, ladies, that will be coming to you, and working on guy cards for you because we've got Father's Day coming up, and it's using some of the new stuff that I've received from my pre-order from the annual catalog. So a lot of things from the world of Good Sweet. So and I think I'm going to try and cut some extras of these cards. So if you're watching and you're like, yeah, I could use some cards for guys too, and you're not in my club, I might have some kits that I can sell to those who are local if they might like to have some guy cards to put together. So just keep watching for that. Oh, Lori, I'm glad you like it. Yeah, there's another one too, and yeah, I'll leave it as a surprise. And a 3D project as well. Oh, Jackie, I'm glad you like it too. So there's Jean, and yep, North Dakota. Hello, neighbor in North Dakota. Okay, so Jar of Flowers. This is in the new annual catalog, and I'm going to show you a card that I'm making. I want to make a bunch of thank you cards for customers, and I'm going to use a Stamparatus, and because it's a two-step stamp, Stamparatus works really well with this. And I'm going to be using one of our new in colors. It's called oh shoot, Misty Moonlight. I was going to call it Moonlight Madness, but no, that's Magenta Madness. Misty Moonlight. So it's a little bit lighter than Night of Navy, and yeah, kind of the color of the moon on a you know, dark bluish night. Speaking of the moon, for those of us who are in the Moose Jaw area, the International Space Station is going to be visible in the night sky, as long as the clouds aren't in the way, for 5 minutes starting at 10:08. So if you didn't see me post something about that on my personal page, just in case you're looking for something to do, I thought it'd be a really good thing for you to take the kids outside and say, okay guys, it's like not hide and seek, search the sky, where's Waldo, but it's where's the International Space Station. On your mark, at go, you only have 5 minutes. So it's going to be out there and crossing into the sky, and I think I read that it's going across Canada in 57 minutes. I was shocked at how fast the space station moves, but it'll be out there. Okay, the jar. The jar has a punch that goes with it, and I've punched this particular one out, and I'm not going to be using the punch on my card today, but I just wanted to show you how versatile this jar is, because not only does it work with the flowers that are shown here on in the stamp set that go with it. These flowers are a little bit smaller than the actual size. They're only 75% of their actual size here. But it works with a lot of other things that you might have in your collection. So I really like this. This is Country Road, and to me this really looks like Pussy Willows, and I think that looks really fantastic to have them in a jar like that. And this is a stamp that's discontinuing, but I will never sell it because some of you may have heard me say this is just like the weather vane with the horse on it that my dad had on top of his barn on the farm he grew up. Okay, so what else? You could have, here's some more sort of foliage things that could come growing or be placed in the jar. And actually this image is a little bit smaller too. They are a little bit taller than that. So I thought that would be neat. That Enjoy Life is an awesome $1 million stamp set from one of the $1 million achievers. It has such amazing words in it. This is kind of cool. If you don't want your paintbrushes in a clay pot from the Crafting Forever, you could put your paintbrushes in a jar like that. And then you could put any number of animals popping up out of the jar. And I know it doesn't really make sense to have a giraffe popping up out of a jar, but he sure looks darn cute, doesn't he? I suppose that would work with the face of the kangaroo too. Yeah, no, the branch doesn't really make sense. But, and here's another animal, my favorite retiring pig. He could be popping up out of the jar too. He looks so darn cute. So this jar is going to get a lot of workout with me. I can tell right away with that. So to make today's card, I'll tell you the pieces that I've got here. Just a Whisper White card base, the regular size, scored in half, 8.5 by 5.5. I have a layer of Balmy Blue that's 5 1/4 by 4. And oh dear, you know, I was gonna look up the name of this embossing folder and I didn't. So if any of you are out there who are like demonstrators or get the demonstrator discount and you happen to know what the name of this new embossing folder is, it's a textured one. It kind of looks like fabric or material, and it's going to be probably my second favorite embossing folder after Subtles. I really like the Subtles too. It makes it just such great textured cardstock, and that's what I've done with this one. And if any of you think of the name of it, you can just let us know, because I can't think of it right now. Hello to Melanie, hello Iowa, hi Kathy, and hello to Karen way out in Ontario. Hope things are doing well with you, Karen. Okay, and then I've got a piece of Misty Moonlight cardstock, and it is 3.5, oh wait a second, 3 1/4 by 4.5. And then I've got a piece of Whisper White that's exactly the same size, 3 1/4 by 4.5. Let me just double check that down here on my measurements. Yep, 3 1/4 by 4.5. So 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of paper and some Misty Moonlight of the ribbon. All right, so I'm going to stamp this bouquet of flowers and this jar, and I'm going to line them up on my Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to use the Stamparatus, and I'm going to start right from the very beginning with the steps, so that those of you who haven't used your Stamparatus in a while, you will be reminded, and then you will be like, oh yeah, I can use that for sure. It's not hard. Okay, so our Stamparatus is a stamp positioning tool, and we have different plates that help you to position the different things, there's different images you want to stamp. And I'm going to be using this foam mat on it because these stamps are photopolymer, and so to have that extra layer of foam, it'll help you to get a much better image, and it doesn't have, of course, the extra layer of foam on the back of it, so it lifts this up so that the image is, yeah, it makes it just the right depth to stamp with. If you find, and this is with either your photopolymer ones or your rubber stamps when you're using your Stamparatus, if you're not getting quite the depth and you need a little bit more pressure, I will also recommend using our silicone mat. Put that in as a layer, and that adds a little extra depth and push when you're using the Stamparatus. Okay, so first thing, let's see, I think I'm gonna position the jar first. So I'm going to lay the jar down with, I think I got some, there we go. just had a little bit of the ribbon. Okay, go away, ribbon. There we go. The ribbon was clinging to the photopolymer because it's so sticky. Okay, I'm going to position the jar there, and just like I would be stamping with it, but doesn't have any ink on it yet. And yeah, that leaves me room for some flowers at the top. So once I've got the jar in exactly where I want it, I have to just double check. Always, always, always double check. Ooh, see, you can have little things happen like that. You need your your paper. It doesn't matter what color it is. You need your paper all butted up in the corner, flush, just like that. And tasteful textile, is that what it is? Oh, great. Okay, thank you. Hello to Susan. Thank you, Jean. And hello, I think Terry has joined on if she's still there. Okay, so I've got that butted up in the corner, and also I make sure my foam piece is pushed up there too. So everything is going to be in line with that corner, and I know then that things will line up. And then I take my plate. I'm going to use this one, and I could have used this. You know what? I'm changing my mind. Okay, here we go. Changing my mind. Here's why. Okay, because these flowers are going to be so close to all of those the top here where you have to press harder. So I'm going to make the flowers go on the side plate. Yeah, just there we go. It's not a huge difference, but where the hinges are, if you're really close to the hinge, then you just have to press harder on the stamp. So this way I won't have to press quite as hard. All right, so I've got Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And again, double checking up in the corner. The corner is the trick to all of this. Okay, and I don't even know if you can see me inking this up here, but trying to get a nice layer of the Memento Black. And just watch, sometimes with the Memento Black ink pad, I see that the little threads start to pull off the fabric on the ink pad, and that's what happened to me earlier. And then you can see like that got all over my fingers, and then it got onto my paper. And so kind of just keep an eye on that, and if you see a thread, trim it off, and then take like a Kleenex or paper towel and just wipe along the edge to get off any of that excess ink that may have built up there, so you're not getting it on your hands and then infecting it on your project. Okay, so we're gonna stamp this, and this doesn't need to press too hard because it's way down here, it's further away from the hinges. Okay, so there's our jar, and I'm gonna leave the jar up here because what I want to do is make a whole bunch of these cards as thank yous for people who have placed orders with me. So this will be all set up and ready to go for making more cards, and it makes it really quite quick when it's all set up and ready to go that way. So now I am looking down and seeing if I can line up the top of the bottom of the flowers with the top of the jar. And I'm trying not to get too close to this edge here because, like I said, the closer you are to the hinge, the harder you have to press. So something like that. And now it's in its spot where I want it. And sometimes I just want to make sure that this plate is pressed down, right down into it, the hinges there. Okay. And there it's in its spot, lift it up, and now we'll ink up the flowers. Okay, now when I go to ink again, I have to make sure that this is in its place. Yep, and I may not have put that much ink onto the flowers, and the reason I did that is because this is to remind you that if it stamps but doesn't fully get inked as much as you want to, if you've always lined it up into the corner, hopefully like I've been doing, you can go back, you can add some more ink, and then you can stamp again, and the lineup should be pretty close, and you'll get a second layer. Okay, so here we go. Yep, looks like it's matched up. And I'm just going to use my fist and give it a little bit more push right by the hinge there. It always wants to stick when it's the photopolymer stamp, but yay. Okay, so there you go. That's a reminder of how to line up things on the Stamparatus. And like I said, if you're doing multiples, like making thank you cards or Christmas cards or whatever, you can just kind of go to town like a printing press. I wonder if I've got I think I do. There, I'm going to just put this down so that I don't get black ink all over my foam mat. Now, I'm going to do some coloring, and these are the colors that I've pulled out in our Stampin' blends. And in case you're wondering what my color combos are, I played around just to find, I think I wanted light colors that kind of contrasted so that the misty moonlight, the darkness of the misty moonlight kind of popped a little. And these are the ones I ended up with. I got light mango melody and dark mint macaron, light granny apple green, light flirty flamingo, and dark balmy blue. And there's the balmy blue that matches with the layer of the card. And I'll start with this one. I've decided that balmy blue is going to be a nice pairing. It's like that, just the lighter tone of the misty moonlight. Those two are going to go together quite nicely. They will match up lovely. And so, yeah, if you are a blue person, the misty moonlight will go quite nicely with the balmy blue. All right. Yeah, all right. So, okay, I decided that these things here, oh boy, I'm getting lots of shadows, aren't I? These things to me are what I would call eucalyptus. I think I have some in my house somewhere, and they usually smell really nice when you first get them. Over time, they kind of lose their scent, but they're kind of a bluey green, so I thought that the mint macaron was a good color for the eucalyptus. And then, but I didn't want all of the leaves to be the bluey green. I wanted a little bit of contrast, so that's why I brought in the granny apple. And so people ask, why do I like coloring with this Stampin' Blends markers, and why not use the Stampin' Write markers for the coloring? And most of you probably know this, that the Stampin' Blends don't leave as much of the coloring lines. You know, you can see the from the Stampin' Write markers, the lines of the ink going back and forth on the item that you're coloring, where these blend and it makes it more solid. So that's why, and I tend to use the wide tip because I just like how quickly, you can see how quickly it puts down the color. You don't have to spend as much time on it, because like, yeah, it just puts down so much color all in one shot. When I first made this card, I tried using Daffodil Delight for this flower. Unfortunately, my light Daffodil Delight is just pretty much expired. I need to buy a new set of them because the light one is pretty much done. There's not anything left in it to get much color out of it. And so, and then the dark, I was surprised how dark the dark Daffodil Delight was. It almost seems like crushed curry to me. It was so intense. So the, yeah, the light mango melody, I kind of like that better. And here is light flirty flamingo. Okay, and I'm trying to do this without creating too much shadows. Almost done the coloring. Well, that's not quite right. When I first made this card too, I did not color the jar because I thought, oh, well, I'll try to save a little bit of time not coloring the jar. But then afterwards, I realized that, yeah, no, it's looks a little bit better with the jar colored. Kind of looks a little bare on the bottom if you don't put some color onto the jar. So I'm going to go back to the balmy blue to do the jar. Okay, and this was kind of neat. Even though I'm just using the same color for the whole jar, if you go over and just do the little places where the light is shining on it, you do get, it does show up a little bit there once you color over, is you can make, even though it's just one color of ink, you can, if you keep going over and over with Stampin' Blends, you can, even with one color, you can make it darker. You can kind of add layers of color. I'm not really doing a very good job of coloring this, but I don't want to take too much time here. Okay. There we go. So I can go back and touch it up if I need to. Putting the card together. Here's my plan. I want a layer with the Tasteful Textiles. I'm going to have to get used to that name. Tasteful Textiles in the balmy blue, and just glue that layer on. And I find when I do my layers, like I hold my card up in front of me against like a neutral background, and it just helps me to find that my edges are kind of even. And then the next thing for this card, and I don't usually do this, but I don't know, it just seemed the right thing to do with this. I'm going to put these two layers off-centered. Normally I like line them up like a bullseye, and I just decided that there was something about off-centering it that made it a little bit more interesting, because it's really quite, it's a fairly simple card. It doesn't have a lot of anything else going on. So just doing that simple offset seemed to add a little bit more interest to it. Okay, here we go, dimensionals. Hey, just curious, Brenda says if you use your magnets, it won't lift the paper up. Okay, yes and no, Brenda. Sometimes the stickiness on the stickiness from the photopolymer is so strong, it can actually move the magnet slightly. So, you know, yeah, I think the magnets seem to, well, I don't know. Yeah, you know what, I think that you just do whatever works best for you, and I'm lazy and I don't want to have to keep moving the magnets around, and so I just, yeah, that might work. I don't know. Yeah, I think I got into the habit of not using them, and I just found that even sometimes the magnets might stay where they are, but the paper might slip a little bit sideways as I'm lifting up. So, but that's a good reminder that there are magnets that come with this, and if they work for you, then use the magnets to hold your paper in place. And the other reminder, oh, I wonder if I have any magnets. Yeah, there they are. There's two of them, and they're actually in their slots here too. Don't put the magnets close to each other, because they're so strong that they'll almost leap into each other, and they can break if if you try to pull them apart, or just break when they get too close together. So there's a name for these, rare magnets or something. They're fragile, or, well, they're strong. Like, I don't think I could just break it like that. But anyways, yeah, just be careful with your magnets, and use maybe just one at a time to be safe, is what I would say. But all right, so got my layer here, and thanks for the reminder about the magnets, Brian. Brenda. Yeah, definitely time to go to bed here. Okay, so there, we've got our layer offset just a little bit, and then I'm going to finish off with a bow. And some of you have seen me do these bows before, where you make the 2 bunny ears and then you cross the bunny ears over and you pull one around. All right, and it's nice soft ribbon, the new in color ribbon. Okay, and oh, there we do. I do have my ribbon scissors nearby, and I'll grab a glue dot. So now I'm thinking, okay, with all the different in colors, I could make jars of flowers and use the different in color ribbon. And there's the magenta. So if this was a dark magenta, I'm trying to think what would I'm going to have to go through and look to see what the kind of the monochromatic color schemes are for each of the in colors, because I sure like how the Balmy Blue goes with the misty moonlight. So that's it. It's a simple card, but it's really one of the good stamps that works well with the Stamparatus. And if you've got one of those, make sure you get it out. It helps you to line things up and helps you if you want to make a bunch of cards. I've seen lots of demonstrators who've been making cards to send to care facilities, and this would be ideal just to set up production and make a whole bunch of cards that way. And so, well, thank you so much for, thanks Karen and thanks Kathy. Thanks for watching tonight. I think I need to go to bed now because I can't make myself talk properly anymore. And take care everyone out there, and next week I'll be back and I'll be able to, I think I'm actually going to be able to show you the new catalog then, so yay. And for those of you who are waiting to get catalogs from me, I'm going to be having a pickup drop-off time coming up, so stay tuned for that. Take care everyone. Bye for now.